Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're now at Stanley Part 2. We have gone through Stanley's boyhood, his military experience, his educational career, and now we are on his retirement. Now you may say, well, when you retire from your career, you're retired. That is not true with Stanley Wolczyk. He has been going like the Energizer Bunny for many, many years after his retirement, including he is a masquerader. And a masquerader meaning that he will do many different celebrities and notable people in his uniforms and so on and so forth, including, first of all, we have here as George Washington. There he is as George Washington. And can you tell us a little about this, Stan?
Oh, there is George.
Yep.
Oh, he's my favorite.
And you're going to do him?
I'm going to do him in June in the town of Bedford.
Okay.
I've done that for many years. The uniform, what is exciting about that uniform is my wife made it.
Oh, your wife made that?
My wife made it.
Okay.
So I do George regularly. He's my favorite. But there are others. I think the most exciting character is Lincoln. Oh, there's Lincoln.
Okay, there is he
goodness.
Portraying Lincoln to a group of students. And where did you get your stovepipe hat?
The stovepipe hat I purchased in Pennsylvania in a shop dealing with antique type clothing and so forth.
Oh, so it was a sort of an old vintage hat.
The uniform, the large coat, is dated 1875.
The coat is?
The coat is.
Oh.
It's wearing out. You won't be able to see it, but it's wearing to where it shouldn't be.
So he has done that, and you also have done...
Oh, my goodness, this is a... We're going way back in our history where we had Indians running around the country. And we had all kinds of patriots defending us in those days. But that's an exciting pilgrim outfit that my wife also made.
She made that.
Maybe we should have had her here. She would have explained a little more. But that's a... Now the hat I also purchased at the shop in Pennsylvania.
Was it an antique shop also?
Oh yeah, this is the one I visit regularly because they do have authentic uniforms and dress of early years, you know.
And you also did Christopher Columbus.
Oh, Christopher Columbus. On his 500th anniversary, if you can measure it out. That was made in '92. And my wife made that outfit too. And that was the most expensive one. All silks. But in most cases, people don't realize who this person is. I must...
So was she a seamstress?
No,
okay.
She was just my lovely wife.
Okay. So you've done him, and you also did the Lone Ranger.
Now, the Lone Ranger I would do regularly for the Right to Read weeks that the schools have, and the kids love that one. Now, of course, today you can't do that anymore. You can't be bringing pistols in a school. You can't even get into a school these days without a policeman standing there, or the doors are barred and so forth.
Well, now, did the kids know who Lone Ranger was?
Oh, yes. They knew more than I did. They would ask questions about him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was exciting. That was...
Because they've tried to revive the Lone Ranger recently. You know, they had a movie about the Lone Ranger not too long ago.
Too bad they didn't have me. I was ready to roll.
And then he also has served as a model.
Oh,
There
isn't
he
that a
is.
good-looking picture? Wow. I was modeling a jacket and a scarf. And I was hoping that they would give me the scarf and the jacket. But they did give me the scarf. The jacket, the cost of the jacket was only $300, and I think they was going to donate that to me. Too bad, because it was a lovely jacket.
Well, now, didn't you also imitate or masquerade as a Kosciusko? Thaddeus Kosciusko?
Oh, Kosciusko, yeah, the Polish
okay,
guy. Yeah, he was under George Washington, and he fought in several battles. He was a cavalry officer, and he did very well.
From Poland to help in the American
Yes,
Revolution.
he came from Poland physically.
Yes.
Kosciusko. I'm trying to remember the Polish name, Kosciusko. There's something missing there. But he was killed in a cavalry charge. I'm trying to recall what it was, but he was a Polish patriot.
Yeah.
And one of my favorites.
Who came to help in the American Revolution. He was one of the foreign leaders who came, including Lafayette.
Lafayette was
Pulaski.
Pulaski, yes.
Those were some of the ones.
Well, you see, those people knew something was going on in this country, and where they were living at that point, things were not what they would like to have a country representing the people and all that. So they were interested. This was a very popular nation for people to enter.
So they saw a new idea being generated here as a country, and they decided they would come to help in the American Revolution.
They loved to do it.
Yes.
They wanted to be part of this new idea that people are controlling the country, which they never had back in anywhere in Europe.
Yes.
There was always a dictator or a king that controlled the world, the country. New idea, an exciting idea.
So that's his life as a masquerader. Many notable characters, and as he just told you, he will be doing George Washington at Bedford in June. So he is still on stage, Stanley is. And also, another thing about Stanley is that he still volunteers at Children's Hospital in Akron, Ohio. So at 96, he is not done yet. Stanley is, in fact, on his wrist at this time, you can see there is a watch he received for 3,000 hours of volunteering at Children's Hospital. And he still does that. What day of the week?
Every Wednesday, I have an additional 200 hours. I just wonder what that'll be worth. But I've been volunteering, and I love to do it. Since I retired from teaching.
Which was in what year?
83.
83.
83.
Okay.
And I had several buddies, former principals, that were doing the same thing at Children's. So they dragged me because I had no idea why I was going there or what I was supposed to be doing. But I love it ever since I entered that Children's Hospital. I just love to go there.
And you do you ever use your masquerading there for the children there?
I'm trying to remember if I did or not. Oh, I did. I did Santa Claus.
You did Santa Claus there.
I didn't have that one. I did
Right.
Santa Claus. They were short the regular Santa Claus. And I decided, well, but I didn't look like Santa Claus because I was a little bit on the thin side. And the lady says, you should have a pillow in there. I says, well, I like to stay thin. She says, tell me your secret because I want to do the same.
Well, do you stay thin deliberately, or is
no,
it...
this is my regular weight.
That's your regular
I
weight? Okay.
weigh the same as I weighed 70 years ago when I entered the Army.
Is that right?
154 and a half.
So he still volunteers, and you go there every Wednesday, and you spend about 5 hours a day, is that right?
Every Wednesday, 5 hours.
Now, what would you do there? Multitude of things.
Multitude, but it seemed that they needed someone. You see, the regular maintenance people, engineering people, they're always busy doing important things such as the plumbing, the electricity, the oxygen. Well, you see, you receive a new doctor at the hospital. He's required to post all his diplomas, so he's legal. Who's going to do that? Well, these engineering people would do it. That's taking time away from the so-called important things. So they invited two of us, two principals. And that's what we do. I had a doctor last week, 2 weeks ago. A new doctor arrived. He had 26 different diplomas I had to hang properly in all levels so it doesn't look.
26?
26. I don't mind one or two, but 26. Must have been very important, doctor. But anyway, this is what we do. We help. For example, a nurse. She needs a new bulletin board to do her work better or more efficiently. So we would put up a new bulletin board for this nice lady. Or she's a new grandma, and she's proud of it. So we hang the youngster's picture on her, on a bulletin board or whatever she has hanging. So we are helping nurses to take away some of the little things that make life easier for them. And they love it.
So that's great that you continue to do that at age 96. Now, I want to read you something that a Vicky Parisi, do you know Vicky Parisi? Who is the volunteer service manager at Akron Children's Hospital.
The name is very familiar, but I am trying to place it. Go ahead. Let's see what we got.
She says this. She sent me an email.
Oh?
Yes.
Oh.
She said,
we're in trouble now.
We love Stan. He is one of a kind. We look forward to Wednesdays. He always has a joke or a story to tell. He has made us laugh as well as cry. He has so many wonderful life experiences to share with our volunteers and staff. We are all blessed to know him. So that is a very good recommendation.
Oh my goodness, I'll have to go see her.
Yes, we love him, and he is a blessing.
Oh
so that
goodness.
is great. At 96, those things are very important in a life of a person who is 96. Actually, in the life of a person who any age, as far as that goes. That you are doing something there that is, you're not only doing a volunteer work there, you're also keeping the volunteers and the staff elated. So that's great, Stan. Okay, now, so
I'm impressed.
he still volunteers. But also, he is an old military man, and he still goes to military conventions throughout the United States. Is that correct?
Every year I must go to at least 3.
At least 3 a
At
year?
least 3.
Now, where, for example, would you be going? Did you go last year, and where will you be going this year?
This year, my unit will be going to Fort Drum, which is in Upper New York City,
Okay.
New York State. Now, Fort Drum, and the reason it's so exciting to go there, one of our units of the old 32nd Infantry, one battalion is actively engaged at Fort Drum with the 10th Mountain Division. So we are closely related. So that makes it that much more interesting. They were in Iraq twice already, this group. So they treat us like part of the unit itself, and we enjoy that.
So you'll be going there this year?
This year we'll be going there.
Okay.
Right.
Now, where do you remember where you went last year as to the ones? I believe you said something about Florida, didn't you, at one time? Or anyhow, you did.
Where was that? I didn't.
Florida, maybe you had said last
Oh
year?
yeah, we did. Oh, I'm sorry. We did go to Florida. For the first time. They attempt to give the group a chance to visit. For example, if you live on the West Coast, it's quite a chore for an 80-year-old guy, some young guy about 80 years old, to travel that distance. So they attempt to locate a reunion throughout the country, giving each group a chance to travel less than they would if it was all in one place. So that's what they try to do.
Now, what do you do at these conventions? I mean, do they give talks, and do you associate with ones you know that you have met before, or what?
Oh, we're not going to tell any secrets here.
Okay.
We're having the ball. We enjoy ourselves. Now, I would normally take my wife. So you see, there's restricted in activities. See?
Well, she passed away, right?
She passed away 5 years ago. She's buried at Western Reserve.
Okay.
I visit her every week.
Every week.
You know, from here, it's only 12 minutes from my home.
Yes.
And she has a sailor buried on both sides of her.
Okay.
So I go there regularly to make sure there's no hanky-panky.
Oh. But you were in the...
I'm sorry.
You were in the infantry, though, right?
I was in the Queen of the Army is the infantry.
Oh, that's the Queen, okay.
The Queen.
Okay. Now, do they have displays at these conventions you go to, or speakers?
Everyone. They have the unit flag. They have all the former pictures they've taken on display, so you can see how you looked 10 years ago.
Oh, they have your picture there from 10 years ago, maybe?
Oh, yes. They have a whole room full of displays. So you have time to enjoy what you looked like. They tell me I haven't changed much, but that's how it goes.
But you enjoy going to those?
I love going to them. I wait for those to get the date.
Now, who sets up the dates? I mean, is it a tour company?
Oh, no. The tour companies have nothing to do with where we're going. They usually, during the last day of our meeting, we have suggestions throughout the group where would be a nice place to go. And so they'll vote on it. And if one is selected, then they'll have someone go there and see what facilities are there, make sure they can accommodate our group, whoever's.
Now, how many would there be in the group?
We average 50.
50.
50. They're a nice group.
Now, is that the only ones who would be there at that time, or would it be other groups?
They were the only one, the 32nd Infantry, which made the landing with the 7th Division on the island of Attu. And when they left there, of course, they were involved in several island invasions, so they were an old-time group.
Now, remember, let me ask you this question, though. If you say there are 50, now, are those 50 who are still living from that period of time, or 50 overall?
Most of the fellas are old-timers.
Are they your age?
I'm the oldest one there.
Okay, you're the oldest one there, and probably the liveliest.
Now, we have an advantage in that if a soldier is retired from the 32nd Infantry, one battalion that's attached to the 10th Mountain Division, we have people coming in, which is very unusual for a retired unit of some kind, because most of the units are gone. You know, when I say they're gone, they don't have any chance to have any new members coming in, but we do. So we do have some new members coming in every year,
Okay.
which makes us still...
So you still meet new people who are there?
There's new people coming in
Okay.
for us, which is kind of exciting.
So, so in his retirement years, he still volunteers, he still masquerades, he still attends military conventions throughout the United States, and he said he still dances.
I love to dance.
Dance with the what?
The problem with dancing these days, it's not a problem. No one dances anymore. You really, it's kind of discouraging. You have that nice music going on, and all people do is get in the middle there and they yell and scream with their hands in the air, and they don't do anything but wiggle. That's not dancing. You want to dance with a gal. You're holding her. You know you got a partner. They don't do that anymore.
Well, how long have you been in dancing?
50 years.
50 years dancing? Okay.
And I hope it'll be another 50.
Another 50. Well, it could be. You'd only be 145 or 144.
Nothing to it.
46, somewhere in there, yeah. Okay, one last thing. What is the reason for your longevity? Were your parents long-lived? Were your grandparents long-lived?
Both my parents died in their 90s.
Oh, in their 90s, okay.
Must have been that good Polish food that they would eat. My older brother died in the 90s.
Okay.
Now, the younger brother died in the 80s. They were both soldiers. The younger one contracted some sort of a disease and that finally died when he was only 82 or something. So he was a young man. My three sisters are still alive, but they were younger than I am.
So they're still alive.
They're alive.
And they're younger than you.
They were all younger.
Okay. So your grandparents, you remember them?
None. My parents. My mother came over, which is very amazing. She left Poland at the age of 15.
15.
She never went to school. The school was 20 miles from where she lived, out in the country, and there was no transportation. The only transportation was her father's horse that was plowing the fields, and he certainly wouldn't allow the horse to take her to school. So she didn't have any schooling. And yet, she said, I want to go to America. Somewhere she heard that this is the country to be. She packed up her bag. She didn't have a bag. She had a pillow. Her parents saved money for 2 years so they can afford to send her to this country. She got aboard that ship. She traveled for 3-4 days. And she said, all I saw was water. She thought the whole world was changing to water. She said, maybe I shouldn't have come. But once she arrived, she saw that Statue of Liberty. She said, this is my country. I will live here and I will die here. So she never went back.
She came to Ellis Island?
She came to Ellis Island. I was there deliberately to see if I could find her records, and I sure did.
Oh, you did?
There she is.
Okay.
She arrived perfect. But can you imagine leaving your family, your church, all your friends, and didn't know how to speak, of course, English. She only spoke Polish.
She was 15.
She was 15 years old.
Yes, okay.
To do this, I wonder how many kids would do that this year.
She came by herself.
She came all alone. She didn't know a soul. Now, of course, in those days, you know, in Ellis Island, they had many, for example, they would have employers. If you came over and you were a iron worker, they would send you to the town or the state that had some sort of iron works to find a job for you. Now, if you spoke Polish, they had priests there, and they would select, oh, we can send her to Cleveland, which they did, to a Polish church so that she could speak to someone. And they did a good job on that, because that's how we ended up in this country with all those isolated Italians, for example, Greeks, and so forth, which was good. So give them a chance to get started.
So she ended up in Cleveland. Yes.
And she got to be the smartest woman in the whole world. Now, how do you account for that?
Well, but did she go to school in Cleveland at all?
She didn't go to school at all.
Okay. Okay. So this is the life of Stanley Wolczyk, now 96, and you notice the hat he's wearing today says Key West on it, and what he was trying to do with that hat, he told me, is to bring Key West weather to Wadsworth, Ohio on this day, because the temperature today in Wadsworth is around 5 degrees and is expected to go below 0 tonight. I told him I wasn't sure he could bring it here with that hat, but that is what he tried to do. So the life of Stanley Wolczyk still continues. He is a man of many life experiences. He still volunteers at Children's Hospital. He still attends military conventions around the world, around the United States, and he said he still dances with the ladies. Thank you, Stanley, for the time that you've given us.
It was my pleasure to be here. I love to come here. And thank you for inviting me.
You are more than welcome.
Are we still? Oh, we're still on. Huh?
Yep.